Patriot Prepper Podcast. I'm your host, Grizz, helping you prepare the best you can for the worst of times. Affordability. I chose affordability as the first full episode because we all need to understand what money we have and what we can do with it. If we come up with grandiose goals, large activities, but we don't have the income to support it, we need to reevaluate our plans and priorities. Today I'm going to talk about a few key areas that kind of relate to the affordability of prepping to get your mind going, that you can prepare on a budget, and ways you can save money while you do it before you jump into buying $5,000 worth of freeze-dried food, before you go out and spend 100 grand on a bug out location, etc. So here we go. So the key areas I'm going to talk about today are time management, information, suggestions of places to shop, bartering your labor, inexpensive ways to start a food storage, and your current expenses and priorities. Yeah, that last one's going to be a little bit of a lecture, but don't worry, I'll be gentle. So like most goals in life, money is a significant resource in reaching those goals and completing those activities. But prepping can be done with limited money as long as you make up for the lower income by exerting more energy and spending more time with your prepping efforts. It's essential you know your plan. It's essential you know your priorities before you start prepping, shopping, going crazy with hoarding supplies. So to ensure your money is spent wisely, you must have a plan first. Hopefully after listening to this episode, you'll have some ideas and you've thought about where your money's going and where it can be spent more wisely. So if you're blessed with a good income, or maybe you have a two-income family, and you can go out and buy the $5,000 pallet of freeze-dried food, congratulations. I'll be the last person that could condone you for that. That's great that you can afford to do so. But if you're like me, my household lives paycheck to paycheck, and we have to really be careful on how we spend our money and the activities we plan and the goals we set for ourselves due to our limited income. So this episode is going to talk about some experiences I have preparing on a budget and kind of the thought processes we go through before we spend our money. So the first rule in controlling your prepping cost, in kind of any aspect of life as well, is to know what you really need. Note I said need, not want. The last thing a person needs to do that's prepping on a budget is to go on a weekend shopping spree, or a shopping spree on the way home from work thinking, well, while I'm in town, I'll just stop by and get, a pallet full of wood pellets. That's the last thing you need to do, is to go on a shopping spree. What you need to do is to set your priorities, write your priorities down, and stick to those priorities. After you saved money, you look at your set of priorities and you go shopping, whether it be it online or in town. You go shopping to meet the number one priority on your list. Now, priorities will differ from everyone out there. I understand that. Some people have children, some people don't. Some people have livestock, some people don't. You name it. Priorities will change throughout your process here as well. But the key is you shop for your number one priority at the time. Also, don't be intimidated by what other people have. Just because they have item X does not mean you require item X. They may try to tell you you need it or try to convince you need something, but stick to your priorities. Spend money wisely. The episode could end here, to be honest with you, but that is the key goal of preparing on a budget. Okay, let's move on to time. Time is money in your pocket. Yes, it is. Put time on your side. And there's many ways you can do this. Research, research, research. Instead of goofing off online looking at sports scores or the famous Facebook or whatever, research your priorities. Look at your list, and you'll probably get to know it fairly well. If you put some real thought in it, you'll know your top 5 at least. of your prepping priorities, but research, research, research. Research your number one priority on your list. What does it take? What does it take to meet that priority? What do you need to buy? What do you need to build? Who has built it before? How did they build it? What did they build it with? Where are they located? Did they learn some lessons? Did they have recommendations? Etc. So time can be spent researching, which in turn will save you tons of money and time. Make time to do things to support your prepping or self-sufficiency goals. Don't make excuses to do something silly that's not productive. Make time to do things to support your prepping goals. Organize. Organizing your entire household will save you money, believe it or not. You'll understand where things are, what you have, what you need, how many of each item you have, so you don't buy yet another of an item that you already have. So organization saves you money. Information. Information saves you money. Yes, it does. Kind of in the time area there. Reducing the risk of buying the wrong items or materials saves you money. Internet is jam-packed with free information, YouTube, general searches, what have you. Jam-packed with information saves you money down the road from doing the wrong things, buying the wrong material, going the wrong places, etc. Check your local library. Borrow, trade, barter for books from other preppers. There's a lot of prepping books out on Amazon, some good, some bad. If you have a prepper community, trade books. Make a little library in the group. Go from there so you don't have to buy additional books. Learn skills from other preppers and teach them the skills you have. Again, information. If everyone knows the most they can possibly know in the prepping world, the better. The more you can help each other learn new things, the easier it will be in a lights out situation. And ask to learn new skills. If you know a fellow prepper that knows how to pressure can, hey, ask them, hey, can we spend a Saturday afternoon and you show me how to run that pressure canner? So information. And stay informed. Stay informed in regard to your local events, national events, and world events. What is happening around you is going to impact your priorities. It's going to rearrange your priorities. It may add a new priority. So keep informed. Don't stare at the local news, or don't stare at the newspaper. What I'm saying is just put out those feelers, see what's going on, and kind of understand the impacts of the events that's occurring around you. So information will save you tons of money and will guide your spending habits wisely. Low budget shopping options. Boy, lots out there. Lately, society has kind of gone to a high-tech way of doing things, and this benefits preppers immensely. You go to thrift stores. A lot of people can't stand using the manual can opener. Oh, they can't stand wasting that 20 seconds to open up a can. They'd rather just push a button and have the can open for them. But thrift stores, people donate older, kitchen utensils, pots, pans, tools, you name it. They'll donate it to the thrift, or donate to charity, and the thrift stores sell it for money. Perfect example. I bought this big glass bowl, great mixing bowl, for $1. It has some funky flower pattern on it. It's probably from the 60s or something, but it's great. It's a great mixing bowl. I can mix bread in that and let it rise in it easily. So I have that for the pizza oven, the outdoor pizza oven supplies. There you go, $1. In that big Pyrex glass bowl, gosh, I couldn't even guess how much it would be at the local Walmart. So thrift stores, great place to shop. Craigslist, one man's junk is another man's treasure. Yes. And you may not find everything you need on Craigslist, but think repurposing. One example, treadmills, great source of scrap steel. Treadmills have great, rectangular and tubular steel pieces on them. I've picked up, I think, 6 treadmills off of Craigslist for free. And let me tell you, that scrap steel comes in handy for projects. Yes, it takes me time to take apart the treadmills and to store the scrap steel accordingly, but again, that time saved me money. There you go. Free Cycle. Please go to Free Cycle. Gosh, I should look, but it's freecycle.net or freecycle.com. I forget, I apologize, but Free Cycle online. People just give away stuff. Fencing, firewood, albeit, smaller stacks of firewood, but people give away stuff. Old bikes. Yes, you can use tires and the gears and whatever. Lots of good stuff on Free Cycle. Garage sales. They're kind of few and far between now with online and donations for taxes and stuff, but check garage sales. Estate sales. Many estate sales in my area. They offer, unfortunately, an estate sale usually means someone passes away and they have a lot of stuff, like from a old homestead or farmhouse, and they have a lot of manual use tools and equipment for auction. So check estate sales. Dollar stores. I'm not talking about the Family Dollar. Family Dollar, I think I saw, maybe 5 things that were $1, but I'm talking like the Dollar Tree. The stores that offered $1 items, those are great for medical supplies, cleaning supplies, and even food. And you'd be surprised how good that food is. So check the dollar stores. eBay, not as cheap as it used to be. Now it's really commercialized. People have, main stores as an eBay seller. So you may have to order from China and wait, 3 weeks to get it. But eBay does still have some decent deals on it. Harbor Freight. If you don't have standard hand tools, if you don't have a selection of, miscellaneous screws, nuts, and bolts, and fasteners, and pins, I recommend you go to Harbor Freight. Harbor Freight offers a coupon in almost every magazine, in almost every city newspaper, Sunday newspaper. It's usually 20% off, or I've seen 25% off. Take that coupon, go buy yourself a nice set of crescent wrenches, go buy yourself a nice set of socket wrenches, go buy a hammer and some nuts and bolts and screws and pins. There's some good deals in there. Sure, not everything in Harbor Freight I would really depend on in a pinch. I wouldn't buy their their welders or their air compressors. I do have a limit to where I personally shop Harbor Freight, but they do have a lot of the nice to have hardware items, and those coupons come in handy. Barter your labor for items. Are you a mechanic, carpenter, electrician, good with computers? Well, if you have a friend, a family member, a neighbor that has something sitting around that they never use, they're thinking about throwing out, and you want it, and you have a skill that they can hire you to do, barter for that item. Say, hey, I can fix that for you if you give me that treadmill, or whatever. So barter your labor. Again, time saves you money. And this kind of goes into OPSEC, because if while you're talking to them what they need to get done, what they need to get fixed, you find out their talents, not only lack of talents, but maybe through discussion you can find out that they're good at welding, or they're good with computers, they can fix your computer. So you can do a little OPSEC there too. You can find out who knows what skills in your area. Food storage. Boy, this is a big one, I know. Big topic. I start this with 2 words. Buy slowly. When you're at the store, supermarket, Walmart, what have you, a good way to start on a budget is just to buy a couple extra essentials while you're there. Buy an extra bag of sugar, or buy an extra couple containers of salt. Buy a bag of beans, or buy a bag of rice. Just start adding just simple, cheap things to your cart, and you'd be surprised how far and how quickly your food storage will start. Freeze-dried food's expensive. Yes, it's think easy and cheap first. You can buy rice and beans much cheaper, and it will last much longer than freeze-dried food. So I highly suggest you start storing food that's cheap and that's easy to store. Yeah, freeze-dried food's easy to store. However, the quantities of rice and beans that's going to last you a long, long time will store just as easy as freeze-dried food. MREs, they're not too expensive, but they're used for a transitional period until you have a ready food source available. You can't live on MREs. Trust me. The little I've had in the military in the past, MREs do some funny things to your body, and let's just stop there. But you cannot live on MREs alone. So MREs are a great transitional option for you until things settle down and you can get the stove lit up and cook quote real food. But don't go out and buy a lot of MREs. That's a cost you cannot afford at this point. If you have space, learn to grow and preserve your own food. It doesn't take much space to grow your own food. A few tomato plants, a few heads of lettuce, a few plants of beans and cucumbers. It really doesn't take that much space at all. You'd be surprised. There are container gardening tips online. There's ways to grow, aquaponics, hydroponics indoors. There are options to grow your own food. Don't let it intimidate you. Gardening is a great skill to have. You can teach others to garden as well, and they can help you out with the skill they know. So grow your own food, preserve your own food. You'll save a lot of money, and you can use that skill accordingly. Preserving food equipment or food preserving equipment. If you know a couple of other people that prep and that store food, that like to garden, etc., ask them to go in on a pressure canner with you. Ask them to go in on a food dehydrator with you. Ask them to build a food dehydrator with you. Go in as a group. There's strength in numbers. And then once your group purchases the pressure canner or the food dehydrator or the water bath canning equipment, take turns using it, or maybe have a group canning weekend, what have you. So you don't have to do everything by yourself. You don't have to buy everything yourself. Just ask around, work as a group, work as a team, and you all can get things done with less money, of course. And if you have equipment, rent it out. Don't rent it out for money. Well, you can, of course, but rent it out for I'll rent you my pressure canner if you rent me your water bath canner, stuff like that. So trade equipment, in other words, trade use of the equipment. And when it comes to food storage, bulk stores don't always offer the best prices. Be careful. Don't forget, you pay to shop there. You pay, I think it's $75 now as Costco. I don't know what Sam's is. It's probably pretty close in the same ballpark, but they don't always offer the best prices. So using coupons and researching sales and checking other sources can save you money there too. I mean, if you absolutely need something from a bulk store and you know someone that has a membership, give them some money and say, hey, can you pick this one thing up for me? Can you pick up the 10,000 rolls of toilet paper? They may do that, but just be aware that bulk stores don't always offer the best prices. Okay, last but not least, current expenses. What are your current expenses? It's time to wake up, folks. It's time to take an honest look at where your money's going. And since you've now committed, you're listening to this episode and you got this far, you've committed to prepping. Do you really need to spend time in front of the TV? Do you really need that big satellite package or cable package? Do you need to see every episode of, Blacklist? Or do you need to see every episode of, you name it? Gosh, I can't even name TV episodes. It shows you how much I watch TV. But anyway, do you really need that big TV satellite or cable package? Your time is saving you money. So your time will be prepping and becoming self-sufficient and not watching TV. Yes, I have over-the-air TV, so I can get local news. I can watch some of the football game while I'm taking a break and eating a sandwich. But you don't need that TV. The TV is addicting and will cost you money, trust me. Not only for the bill, but in time away from your prepping activities. Do you need a smartphone? Guess what? I'm still breathing. I'm still talking. I'm still healthy. I don't have a smartphone. I'm kind of biased against smartphones because I think society's become kind of drone-like. They're walking, and looking down at their phone, bumping into light poles, bumping into doors and windows. They're on a date with their wife or girlfriend. They both sit there at the table looking at their smartphones. It's become ridiculous. So I personally think smartphones are a waste of money. I have internet at the house. That's probably the demarcation line, I guess, if you will, for me. I need internet for information and stuff and to check the news, etc. But smartphone, no, I don't need the extra bill for that. I think I pay $20 a month for my flip phone. I can call, I can receive calls. That's all I need. How often do you eat out? Go to the movies, go to the club? Just for giggles. Just if you do any of those, just think back, take a pencil and piece of paper and just write down what you spent. Just that 4, 5, 6 hours you went out. Just write down what you honestly spent. Drinks, food, maybe parking, tickets. Just write down what you spent just that one time you went out. Stare at that total and think what you could have done or bought to support your prepping activities. Now, I'm not saying, stay at home, be a, mope around the house all the time and then just go to work, come back, and don't do anything fun. What I'm saying is get in control of those extra things you're spending money on and ask yourself, do you really need to do those things all the time? Magazine subscriptions, get rid of them. There's not really many magazines out there that are worth a darn. The internet's just killing magazines. I mean, now magazines are now, 4 editions a month, or a year rather? You can get that information online before they even start the printing presses for the magazine. So if you have internet, you don't need magazines. Get rid of the magazines. They're $35 a year for 4. Okay, do the math. Do you really need the extra money going out for those things? Top brands versus generic brands. What are your buying habits? Do you have to have the latest, watch? You have to have the latest sneakers. You have to have the latest designer hat, purse. You'd have to have the top of the line firearm, or can you go to Mossberg versus Ruger, stuff like that. What are your purchasing habits? Can you deal with having a lesser brand? Yes, you probably can, because most items are all built the same. They just got a different name on them. So think about your purchasing habits when it comes to brands. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's just kind of a wrap up of what I was thinking about in regards to affordability and prepping and self-sufficiency. I could have probably talked much longer about things to do to keep prepping affordable, but I like to keep my podcast fairly short and to the point. Hopefully I got your mind going a little bit, and hopefully you've got some ideas and you've found some areas of your spending habits that you can kind of get control in so that you can become more prepared. You can start a prioritized approach when it comes to spending money and prepping. So we've talked about time management and how time can save you money. We've talked about how information can save you money. We've talked about some places to shop to save money and to buy, lesser used equipment. We've talked about bartering your labor, doing things for others for items instead of money. We've talked about inexpensive ways to start a food storage. Food storage will be another episode down the road, so I just touched on a little bit on the ways to start inexpensive food storage. And lastly, we talked about your current expenses and your priorities. So hopefully in that discussion you've realized ways you can use your money more wisely towards your prepping activities. So thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Please hit the follow button. Please check me out on Facebook, Patriot Prepper. I also have a Twitter account, Patriot Prepper, and I'm also on YouTube at Patriot Prepper. So 3 ways here at the podcast: YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. So please check out those options and contact me with any questions or comments or suggestions you have, and hopefully I can incorporate those into future podcasts. Like I said before, I'm open, I'm honest. I like to learn from you all. I like to share my mistakes and lessons learned, because I think we all learn together, the better we all are. So I'll leave you with this: it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. God bless America.